Okay, we're live. Yeah, we're live. There's a fucking... The cord for my light is just draped right over the viewfinder for my camera, so it's like, I'm cut right in half. I'm like Two-Face from Batman. Did I unmute myself? Yeah, I did. Okay, cool. So I tried to go live yesterday and it didn't work out. My internet cut out, like, immediately while I was still in the, starting student. While I was still in the starting soon screen. Jesus. Couldn't fucking get the words out. And, the game just immediately started fucking up too. So, until I can get that figured out, we're gonna watch videos. We're gonna be reacting live to videos. I was gonna do this on New Year's Eve too, but he's not feeling it. He's not feeling it. And I think for January I might change the schedule up a little bit. If I do, I'll tweet out about it, and obviously I'll change the schedule in Twitch. But I'm definitely going to be taking like a week off soon, like 2 weeks. So I'll just change the schedule around a bit, and yeah, we'll see. But right now, we're gonna be watching Pay Up or Die. It's a Vice video. It came out like a week ago, I think. But yeah, Pay Up or Die. The gang's extorting a nation. Check it out. We're just gonna, I think, we got 2 Vice videos, and then we got 2 true crime videos. We got an A&E video and an Explore with Us video. So we're gonna start off with Pay Up or Die. The gang's extorting a nation. My sound on? Yes. Let me know if it's too quiet, by the way.
El Salvador is the extortion capital of the world. 2 gangs, MS-13 and 18th Street, hold the entire country in their grip. They make $750 million a year, forcing everyone, from bus drivers to multinationals, to pay up or die.
That's the title of the video.
Tactic has given them power and control.
That's the title of the video.
Anyone who disobeys is targeted by MS-13's growing army of assassins.
We're gonna meet 2 female MS-13 members.
Are they called assassins or are they called hitmen? I feel like you're called an assassin if you're assassinating. Like, assassinating is, killing important people. If you're just like a dude who didn't pay for his drugs, you're like, there's a hit out on you. You weren't assassinated. Like, isn't assassination like something political? Assassination definition. The act of assassinating somebody. Assassination is the willful killing by a sudden, secret, or planned attack of a person, especially if prominent or important. Yeah. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm being pedantic.
I've personally never met a woman gang member, much less a hired assassin. Hola.
Bang! Shoots her right when she walks in.
¿Cómo te digo?
Así ese es el nombre que me gané dentro de la marca. Tuve que hacer muchas cosas. Pero como es algo que me encanta hacer, no la sentí tan duro.
¿Qué tiene que ver lo de la extorsión con lo que tú haces?
Cuando nosotros tenemos a alguien que no quiere pagarlo, paga a alguien de nosotros a platicar en buen humor y que no sé qué. Si ella no quiso pagar, lo primero que hacemos, le dijimos al esposo. Entonces, si ya se echó para atrás y no quiere y dice que no, y que no, y que no, allí me toca mi trabajo. Cuando yo sé que no va a ser muy arriesgoso el trabajo que voy a hacer, yo uso este. Pero cuando sé que tal vez va a haber más problemas, uso esta. Que con nosotros no se juega, la mara se respeta.
I do wonder how much of this is like propaganda from the gang, like not Vice, like willfully putting out propaganda, but like how much of this is like that member just like puffing themselves up. Like, is their name really the Ghost? Because they're in and out super quick. Like, is that? I don't know. It feels like wartime propaganda.
Words are not hollow threats. In the last decade, El Salvador has had some of the highest murder rates in the world.
But is that because of the Ghost?
Driven by extortion.
Mara Salvatrucha, or MS-13, is one of the most feared gangs in the world. You gotta show that you are able to kill with a machete, that you're able to sever limbs, that you're able, to kill entire families.
As an American, I've been under the... I'll just pause it. As an American, I've always been under the impression that, like, MS-13 is a Mexican gang. So... Is El Salvador in Mexico? I thought that was in South America. Hold on. I'll find out. Central America, not even South America. What? They originated in LA. But I guess that makes sense.
In order to go about their business.
I don't know, the propaganda's always been like that they're a Mexican gang, they're pouring in from Mexico.
These gangs are controlling so much of the public life.
I mean, I guess like technically they have to come through Mexico, since they're in between. Mexico's in between here and Central America.
Y te puedo preguntar algo, ¿eres buena para matar?
La verdad, gracias a Dios nunca he fallado.
¿Cuántos?
Creo que ya perdí la cuenta.
¿Cuánto te pagan?
No lo hago por el dinero.
Una pregunta.
Dígame.
Personal, discúlpame, ¿no? ¿Estás embarazada?
Sí. Yo les voy a tirar el paro por lo menos 5 meses. Pero de 5 meses para allá me han dado el pase que la agarre suave.
Ghost is training a 17-year-old recruit, nicknamed Skinny, to carry on the killing while she has her baby.
Yo le he puesto en...
Why did she ask her if she was pregnant?
Y les he dicho que yo a ella...
I was always told that was a very rude question to ask someone. Are you pregnant? That's mean. You can't just ask that.
Pero en mi lugar.
But if she just shot the reporter right then and there, don't fucking ask me that.
Before climbing the ranks to become an assassin.
¿Qué pedo con el que está en ese rótulo ahí parqueado? No sé qué onda, pues, como que está volteando a ver para acá, no sé qué. Quiero ver, observe.
Ajá.
Si pasa algún policía o alguno de los contrarios. Entonces yo la mando y de lejos yo la estoy observando a ver si ella está haciendo bien el trabajo.
¿Y entonces cómo seleccionaste a esta chica?
Porque la vi que es más chispa.
¿Tú crees que la
What does that mean?
lista para matar a alguien y toda esta cuestión? ¿En cuánto la gradúan, pues?
Yo creo que un poquito más y ella...
What does switched on mean? Does anybody know what switched on? She seems switched on. Is that like gang terminology? I'm just like not gang enough to know.
El día que vaya a ir a hacer una vuelta, va a ir ella conmigo.
O sea, hacer una vuelta que es más
A hacer una privada.
¿Vas a matar a alguien
Ajá.
y ella te va a estar ahí mirando?
Sí, ella tiene que estar ahí viendo.
Is the reporter going along too?
Back at her house, Ghost explains why she became a cold-blooded killer.
Quizás a la edad de unos 9 años, mis padres se fueron de viaje para Estados Unidos.
Ajá.
Entonces me dejaron con una tía, hermana de mi mamá. Entonces vino mi tía, se metió a vivir con un hombre por ahí, va. Entonces este hombre empezaba a manosearme y todo eso.
I feel like that's a good
Un
origin
día
story.
que ya no fue que solo me tocaba, él ya me violó. Entonces desde ese
I think,
dentro
yeah,
de mi
murder
corazón
seems right.
había una rabia contra los hombres. Ya iba listo, yo solo saqué hacia el cohete y cabal, en esto de aquí la cabeza le di. De la edad de los 13 años que hice mi primer pegado.
That's pretty
ahora
fucking
tengo
dope, honestly.
33 años. Cada hombre que yo voy matando, voy curando la rabia que yo tengo en mi corazón.
Ghost is one of about 30,000 members who have sworn their allegiance to MS-13, the largest gang in El Salvador. But its roots actually stretch all the way to LA, where back in the 80s, thousands of refugees came after fleeing El Salvador's civil war.
Okay. They do talk about that. That makes sense. I was like, why? I was like, it's very strange that they're focusing solely on the El Salvador aspect and not the fact that it's from LA. Because it seemed like, I don't know. I've always heard that they're like they're pouring in from Mexico, and then now I'm hearing El Salvador. But then I googled it. And it's like LA. I just want to learn. I just want to learn. Jumping all over the place here.
Everybody is at risk here.
Marginalized in deprived neighborhoods, MS-13 set themselves up as a vigilante group to protect their community. but soon grew into one of America's most dangerous organized crime gangs. Between 2001 and 2010, the U.S. deported...
Okay, I am annoyed by this, and it's not because I want to see the violence, okay? But why put footage in if you're just going to blur the entire screen? What's the point of adding it? So that we know something violent is going on? Like the point's not conveyed otherwise? Why not just do like clip art of like a boxing event? I don't know. It's annoying.
Between 2001 and 2010, the U.S. deported over 40,000 Salvadoran convicts. In doing so, they exported gang violence and extortion to the streets of El Salvador.
The U.S. law enforcement is interested in kicking these people out, but they don't care if those people are going to kill and rape and pillage in other parts of the world. They were just focused on something that was immediate, something that would get rid of the crime on the streets of LA, which it didn't. But on top of that, they created more of a problem back in El Salvador.
I'm about to meet the two female gang members again. And I think it's also like a good opportunity to talk a little bit more with the younger one. Hola, Seca. ¿Cómo vas? ¿Puedo pasar? Es importante, ¿sabes? Cómo estar arreglada, bonita para las misiones, ¿no?
Sí, claro.
Ajá.
No sospechan de vos.
¿Tú entiendes que es un poco raro para una chica tan joven de 17 como haber escogido matar como profesión?
Pretty good question.
Claro.
Ah.
¿Y el estudio qué te va a servir si eso no te sirve, si aquí ni te dan trabajo, aquí ganas una mierda?
¿Y te entrenaron a usar armas? Y
Okay, okay, I feel like that's a huge jump to make from like, yeah, I don't know, the jobs around here are shitty, it's just like, sucks, you can't get a good job, education's useless, so like being a hitman is our next best option. Is it? Is there like really no better way for some of these, for 30,000 of these people to live?
¿Ser sicaria?
Sí, ahorita veo como limpiarlas y todo, porque veo que la duende lo hace y ella me explica, me dice, mira, la tienes que agarrar así.
Y duende viene siendo como que como tu hermana, pues.
No, hombre, es como mi mamá viene siendo. Sí, me ha enseñado bastante.
Skinny's whole life has been shaped by MS-13. Both her parents are senior members.
Whoa.
So, mi papá, toda su
Wait,
vida estaba
how do you
preso.
become a senior member? Do you have to like pay your dues?
Puras fotos. Mi mamá, 4 años tiene de estar presa.
How do you become a senior member? Do you just have to like keep like sending in envelopes of cash? Is it like Scientology? How do you move up the rank? Probably killing. Probably killing. That would make sense. Probably a lot of killing. Yeah, now that I think about it, it's probably killing.
Extorsionaba a un empresario de buses. La penaron para 11 años.
MS-13 know that their future is in recruiting youngsters, in recruiting kids. Kids are enlisted, and especially kids who don't have access to education. You know, kids who don't see any other way of life. And children are capable of a lot of cruelty when they're
That's just
trained
all gangs,
by
though.
adults to do so.
That's literally just like the child soldiers, 2012, you know? That's, I mean, children are capable of anything if put into the wrong hands. Right? Like, no child is, like, born evil or capable of shooting a gun off of muscle memory. But if you stick it in, like, an environment that teaches it, encourages it, then, yeah. children are like the best soldiers. They are the most impressionable. It's not like exclusive to MS-13 though.
Skinny shows me how Ghost and her boss train young assassins to kill.
Ahí vamos ya. Y ella va por ahí.
Oh, duende. Ahí va la víctima caminando allá en la acera. Por donde va.
Ghost seems to not ever be paying attention at like any time. They're like, Ghost, what's going on with the car in the roundabout? She's like, the car in the roundabout? Yeah, I don't know. This clip, she's like on her phone. She's like, Ghost, your target's walking into the apartment. Oh, right.
¿Oíste? Sí, ella más bien. Ella va caminando, ¿ves? Oh, cambiar el teléfono. Vaya, bajate, date cuenta. Alumbré donde está el puente.
Bien, ahorita me voy a bajar. Cruza ahí.
Va pues, chivas allí. Ahí te esperamos aquí. Cualquier onda, ¿va?
Ya, lo demás no te lo podemos enseñar porque...
We can't show you the rest because it's a murder, obviously.
¿Cómo te sentiste? ¿Bien?
No, normal.
Ya, normal para ella.
MS-13 targets hundreds of thousands of people with their extortion racket, known locally as La Renta.
Buenas.
Buenas.
¿Cómo les va? Doña María.
Buenas.
Typical victims are food stall owners, like Maria.
Hay que hacer por lo menos unos diarios, unos $30 diarios.
Para sobrevivir.
Sí, siempre cuesta. Se le tienen que pagar a las pandillas para poder tener un negocio estable.
Ajá.
Y que no te pase nada. Pero ya de la renta, sí, pues sí.
La renta, como tú dices, que le llaman
Sí.
a la cuota.
Sí,
¿Cuánto tienes que pagar?
30
$30.
a la semana. Sí. Solo se dice...
Why do you have to pay them weekly?
Ajá.
Así pues ya...
Dude! Either annual or monthly payments. What fucking... What kind of place is charging you? Like, think about it. What place charges you weekly for something? Is that normal? Do I just like live in a monthly bubble? Like, pay rent on the 1st, right? Am I crazy? Why do gangs want to be paid weekly? That sounds fucking... You can't. There's that, like, by that metric, like, there's gonna be no businesses left at a certain point. You're gonna have killed or driven them all out of town. Because, like, they just can't keep up with the payments. And then you're gonna have no payments because all the fucking businesses are gone.
Uno sabe que ya vienen por el dinero.
Maria is forced to pay MS-13 30% of her income. The
God
gang
damn.
has eyes and ears on every street corner to check how much each business earns every day.
O sea, ellos siempre tienen gente viendo, espiando cosas así.
Informantes, pues.
Sí.
So,
Por lo menos aquella persona que está allá hablando por teléfono,
¿dónde?
ay, por la mototaxi,
Ajá.
¿ya ve?
Ah, sí.
Ah,
sí.
así.
Yeah, I see her. And she says it's like the most random people that you can think. It's not like your average lookout, like a gang member. It's older ladies sometimes. They've got a cell phone and they're calling.
It looks like that woman's
about what's
mic'd
going on
up.
and what people are doing.
It looks like the one in the motor car's mic'd up, right? Am I wrong? Look at that. It looks like she's got a mic on.
And they're calling to inform the gang about what's going on and what people are doing. ¿Y te da miedo?
Mucho. Un poco nerviosa.
Mucho.
Nerviosa
Mucho
y
scared.
con miedo.
I don't know the word for
To
scared.
protect Maria, we step away from her shop.
¿Tú crees que acá estamos más seguros para hablar?
Sí.
Sí. Si a nadie está bien. ¿Y qué te ha tocado, digamos, algunas personas cercanas a ti o algo le ha pasado algo? ¿Ya has tenido alguien que lo hayan matado o algo?
Sí, a muchas. Eso me da mucho miedo.
Jesus.
Que algún día le pase algo a mi hijo. Ya saben dónde pasa o a dónde lo dejo cuidando o cosas así. O sea, atemorizado siempre,
Sí.
todos los días.
Se puede decir que te dan como donde más te duele, pues.
Sí, es así.
Maria is such a brave woman. It's really devastating to think how much a life costs in this country. $30. If Maria doesn't pay $30 each week to a gang, that's the life of her husband or her child, potentially. The gangs control over 90% of El Salvador's neighborhoods and act with impunity. The police are under-equipped and overwhelmed. The criminal conviction rate in El Salvador is less than 5%.
Jesus Christ.
People like Maria.
Well, what's the incarceration rate? Like, how many people are jailed each year, and how many people are actually convicted each year? Because I feel like if it's, you know, like a 95% incarceration rate, but like a 5% conviction rate, then the police are doing everything they can there, but I don't know, like the judges and stuff are getting paid off, or whatever.
Easy victims, easy prey, in circumstances where the state fails, where the state cannot protect its citizens, where the state cannot provide security and safety. What Maria's living there is a nightmare, because this is an integrated system where criminals use extortion as a way to control people. If they take $30 a month from someone like Maria, the more Marias you have, it adds up to actually a percentage of the country's GDP. It's the business of fear. You generate fear in order to make money. And the more fear you generate, the more money you make.
The cycle of extreme violence MS-13 deploys means they even maintain a stranglehold over big corporations that run the country's infrastructure. They target public transport companies that turn over $250 million a year. A cash-in-hand business, the buses pass through gang territory every day. Passengers and staff are totally exposed.
Did you just jump off the bus?
Have been murdered in less than a decade.
Why become a transport worker at that point?
El Salvador's largest bus company
That's probably the
has
only
experienced
job
the
at some
human
point.
costs firsthand.
Estaba en una pequeña reunión, pues me avisaron inmediatamente y vine a ver en vivo lo que estaba pasando en ese momento. Hallaron la oportunidad dentro de la unidad. A lo cual murió un pasajero.
Te vio
Jesus
básicamente un
Christ.
pasajero está ahí sentado y alguien llega y lo mata.
Así es. Las pandillas es como el Doberman que no sabe
What?
cuándo va a atacar.
What? Oh, fuck off. You know when a Doberman's
El
gonna
tema de
attack.
la seguridad en este país es bastante complicado y en estos tiempos el que maneja el dinero podría ser víctima de cualquier ataque. Yo tengo 17 años de lidiar con este problema y la extorsión siempre se ha mantenido como la bolsa de valores que sube, baja y vuelven a atacar.
Usted que es empresario, ¿qué porcentaje de sus ganancias le estaban quitando?
Llegaron momentos que rondaba entre $1,5 millones mensuales, equivalente casi a $50,000 diarios, 1.500 entre 18 millones al año. Por último tuvimos que meterlo a contabilidad, como ahí hay una parte donde dice otro.
What the fuck?
The
Other
extortion fees
expenses?
nearly crippled his company.
That's how I do my
Kalenator
taxes.
refused to pay after 25 of his drivers were killed in just 1 year.
I'm
He
making
now
minimum
spends
wage.
$30,000 a month on private security, CCTV, and GPS tracking to monitor his 300 buses in real time. Standing up to the gangs has left him with a price on his head.
Fuera de los guardaespaldas que tiene, también usted está armado.
Sí, ellos así siempre tengo que...
He's packing!
que andarla.
Oh my god, my boy is packing. He's not fucking taking a chance with his bus drivers anymore. He is fucking prepared. He fucking wishes someone would try him. He's itching. He's fucking itching for it. He wants someone to. I fucking dare you to take my bus, bitch. He shoots him in the head.
¿Por qué hay tanta necesidad de contratar seguridad privada?
Yo creo que la seguridad le compete darla al gobierno central, pero al ver, ¿verdad?, que también en mi país la misma policía ha sido víctima de ataques opresivos por parte de bandas criminales, entonces un ciudadano común y corriente no le queda la alternativa para proteger, ¿verdad?, el trabajo y la vida. Claro. Si tú empezás a sacar la cantidad de seguridad privada en el país, es más que la Policía Nacional Civil.
Sí, sí.
Por lo tanto, es un costo.
Businesses here now spend an estimated $2 billion a year on private security, trying to fill the void left by years of government failures. In 2003, to tackle the gang's growing power, the government launched a strategy known as Mano Dura, the Iron Fist, which led to mass incarceration.
Yeah, we always know government crackdown like that always works.
Based on their physical appearance and being inked with gang tattoos.
What if they just have MS?
95% of the prisoners were released in the first year.
What exactly? Oh my god, wait, for real? I just fucking guessed that off the dome earlier. And they're a 95% incarceration rate. 5% conviction rate. I was right. I just fucking guessed. I'm a genius. Yeah, that's what happens when you just fucking randomly scoop up a bunch of people with no evidence. Besides tattoos. You fucking serious? We're arresting you because you have 2 fucking words tattooed on you. They don't even have the number. Didn't say 13, just said MS. Like I said, like what if they just have MS and they want to represent?
MS-13 simply became more aware of police tactics, more organized, and more violent. I'm going to meet one of the founding members of MS-13, known as Bad Boy, who spent years in prison.
He is actually in charge of collecting the extortion money in his area, and he is old school. He has tattoos in his face, so he is what they call a person who's inked, and he's permanently in hiding. He can't show his face out in the public.
He's
We're at
inked.
the unidentified location where he has agreed to meet us.
Tengo a mi cargo como 350 convoy. O sea, esta es mi zona. Yo me tatué en la prisión en el 1997 con tinta de Presto Barba. Es como un rango. Si yo me tatúo la cara es porque he hecho por la pandilla lo que otros no han hecho. La onda está así, de que yo cada vez que voy a salir me tengo que maquillar los tatuajes de la cara. Y no puedo salir así nomás porque no he caminado ni una cuadra cuando ya me han capturado.
Smart.
Cuando recolectas la extorsión de la gente, ¿cómo funciona?
Que si yo le extorsiono a usted solo me va a dar una vez. Supongamos, le hablo por teléfono y le estoy pidiendo $10,000. Pero sé que eso una vez me lo va a dar. En cambio, la renta es una tarifa cada mes. No es mejor que lo estén pagando cada vez que toque la renta.
To avoid police detection,
I mean, yeah, that's just like any fucking business. They're like asking gangs about capitalism. Like, this is just like what your landlord does. Except he doesn't have a gun to your head. Sometimes he has a metaphorical gun to your head, though. Eviction is the metaphorical gun. If you don't pay, will fucking ruin your life.
Men and teenagers without tattoos or criminal records to do their dirty work.
Mando mujeres, hasta niños he mandado de 12, 13 años. Me traen de cada quien, de cada zona, o sea, cada quien ya sabe que tiene que pagarlo.
¿Hay alguna ventaja como de mandar mujeres o mandar niños?
Pues sí, por el color de la jura. O sea, si miran hombres, los juras los pueden parar en el camino, le hayan ese dinero, lo van a llevar preso. Cada vez que se recoge, se cambia la persona que recoge el dinero.
¿Y cómo, para qué están usando ese dinero ustedes?
Armas.
They stop all men, and if they find money on men, they send them to jail? That doesn't sound right. That doesn't make sense. You're telling me that, like, if you're a man in El Salvador, you cannot pay for anything? Otherwise, you'll be sent to jail. Is it you'll be sent to jail if you're found with, like, thousands of dollars on you? Because, yeah, then you'll be sent... I feel like you'll be sent to jail, like, in the United States for that, even if you aren't affiliated with a gang. Why are you walking around with that? That's suspicious. Why are you walking around with thousands of dollars in cash on you?
Granadas se compran voluntades, o sea, jura, se les paga el mes.
Many police officers here only earn $300 a month and live in gang territory. Fearing retribution,
So they
often
like kind of have
blind eye to the gang's extortion business or take bribes. The failings of law enforcement has empowered MS-13 to scale up its extortion business and target not just Salvadoran businesses, but even some of the world's leading multinationals.
Like Google. What? No, fuck off. That's not true. That is not fucking true. Coca-Cola does not pay you rent. They just fucking... Didn't they have, like, the world's largest navy? No, that was Pepsi. You're telling me Pepsi pays rent? Fuck off. No, you're getting blown back to the Stone Age if you try to get Pepsi to pay rent.
¿Cómo sabes cuánto le cobras a cada empresa?
Depende qué empresa sea. Como la alcaldía, pues cuando les cobran a la gente del mercado. Si es la Coca-Cola, al mes tiene que dar 1.500, porque es una empresa grande.
¿Qué pasa si la gente no paga?
Se muere.
So you're gonna kill Coca-Cola. What does that mean?
$1.500 para ellos no es que les estén matando trabajadores, estén haciendo leña, pues el negocio a ellos no les gusta, entonces mejor prefieren pagar.
None of the multinationals who operate in El Salvador have ever admitted to paying extortion fees. It breaks international
Why would they? Why would they? Just like they said, breaks international money laundering laws, and it's also fucking embarrassing to admit that you just have to pay a gang so they don't kill you and your employees. Why would Coca-Cola ever admit to that? Yeah, so part of the startup operating cost for operating a factory in El Salvador is just a $1,500 down payment to MS-13 so that no one at the factory dies. And that's just like a monthly reoccurring thing. Why would they ever admit that?
And if they acknowledged it, they could be seen as a soft touch and targeted by other criminal organizations across the globe.
It's been really hard for us to get a response from multinationals about extortion. So we are literally in one of the towns and we're going to doorstep the delivery guy to see if we can get some answers about how the system works.
He shoots her.
One of El Salvador's biggest beverage companies distribute Coca-Cola and other global drinks brands here. A senior staff member agreed to talk to us anonymously.
Trabajó para la constancia. Nosotros repartimos bebidas gaseosas y igual cerveza. Han dado caso porque yo he vivido esa situación en el cual si nosotros no pagamos llegan al punto de amenazarnos hasta con armas. Hay casos que han herido a compañeros, han matado a compañeros.
Jesus.
Hay sectores de que se cancela 500 hasta $1000 semanales.
$500 hasta $1000 cada semana. ¿Y cómo saben cómo llamarlos para la extorsión y eso? ¿Cómo saben tu teléfono? ¿Cómo saben tu nombre? ¿Cómo saben todo eso?
Ellos lo que hacen es nos detienen. Cada kilómetro, cada cuadra nos encontramos con uno. Entonces, ¿qué? Ya no podemos estar tranquilos nosotros despachando porque nos pueden robar de un momento a otro. Y nos dicen de que, aquí vas a pagar tal parte aquí, si la próxima vez no traes este dinero, te vamos a matar.
¿Y la compañía Coca-Cola sabe que esto está pasando?
Sí, sinceramente sí, y ellos para evitar problemas, ¿verdad? De dañar, de poder trabajar, acceden a eso. Que todos a nivel nacional es por igual.
¿Tú crees que si yo les pregunto a la gente, como los jefes de estas empresas, que si admiten que están pagando esto, ¿me lo aceptarían en persona o en cámara?
Nada. Ellos dirían no. Aunque ellos saben que no es correcto lo que se está haciendo, pero ellos quieren trabajar. Entonces, no le admitirían.
We contacted Coca-Cola, who said they take the allegations very seriously. They condemn all illegal activity, including extortion, and are working with their authorized bottler in El Salvador to understand the full extent of the claims.
What does that even mean? We take these allegations very seriously. We do not confirm or deny them, though.
For the very first time, the president of an organization that represents 14,000 companies, Javier Simán, has agreed to speak about the scale of the threat.
El reto para nosotros más grande es la extorsión. Eso se vuelve parte del costo de hacer negocio en El Salvador. Muchas veces el motorista de su bolsillo tiene que pagarle la extorsión. Y otras veces la empresa tiene que proveerle al motorista para que pueda pagar entrar. Depende de las empresas. Pero las empresas se ponen en una situación muy difícil porque las maras no le van a dar recibo, no le van a dar un invoice por haber pagado la extorsión. Entonces expone a las empresas a la ley de lavado de dinero o a la ley contra el terrorismo, que pueda ser interpretado como que el empresario está financiando actividades terroristas de las maras o que el empresario está lavando dinero. El empresario es víctima de la extorsión que los gobiernos ni la policía tienen capacidad de resolverle, y no hemos visto voluntad política de resolverlo. A las empresas extranjeras, pero también a las empresas nacionales, les da mucho miedo opinar, por miedo a represalias.
MS-13 is not the only gang extorting the nation. For decades, they have fought a bloody turf war with their arch-enemies, 18th Street. One of their factions has refocused their extortion tactics to go only for the big money.
Aquí todos somos familia, somos iguales.
Iguales, somos la 18.
¿Cómo se mantiene la pandilla en términos de dinero? ¿Cobran renta?
No, aquí no vivimos de eso. Esta es nuestra comunidad. ¿Cómo le voy a ir a quitar el dinero a la pobre señora y los tomates? No le puedes ir
I like them.
renta a la señora que te vende.
I like them. I like them a lot.
Entonces no, nosotros, lo que somos parte de nosotros, no permitimos eso.
Entiendo, pero si hay una empresa extranjera, ¿a eso sí les cobrarían o no?
Sí, eso sí, porque ellos sí tienen dinero para podernos pagar. El empleado no les importa su aguinaldo, no les importa subirte el sueldo, no, ellos te quieren explotar.
Los empresarios, ustedes les están cobrando gente multinacionales y no les pagan, ¿qué les pasa?
Los matamos, los desaparecemos, porque ellos tienen la cuota que nosotros les hemos pedido. El empresario es el peor extorsionador, porque le dan al trabajar un sueldo miserable. Pues somos los Robin Hood para los pobres. El gobierno te niega la oportunidad de salir adelante. Vienen todos los presidentes y el actual te dice, no, aquí yo quiero cambiar el país, pero nos cierran las oportunidades de empleo. Que aquí nosotros corremos miles de riesgos, aquí nos pueden matar en la calle, puede venir la policía y vienen. Para mí hoy es el último, porque yo mañana no sé.
These guys seem chill.
Ya andan
We just got word that someone was arrested up in the bridge, so we need to stop and leave right now.
Those guys seem chill. The fucking MS-13 people were all like, we're fucking killers. We kill. We death. These guys were just like, I don't want to extort. That old lady selling tomatoes. I'm Robin Hood. This guy seemed chill.
18th Street are on edge because a few days ago, the National Police, backed by American law enforcement, arrested 572 gang members on charges of extortion, terrorism, murder, and money laundering. To try to regain public confidence and retain international investment, the police are now mounting weekly operations against the gangs.
So it's 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah, but it's convenient for them.
Saying there's a massive operation. The police are going to arrest about 30 extortionists, and we were given the green light to go with them.
The government spent $31 billion and deployed 3,000 extra troops in 2020 to bolster their crackdown.
There's about 20 vehicles here, so it's going to be a pretty large convoy. You can tell that these guys are pretty scared of the gangs, because for the police to go out and get some, they need to call in the army to actually secure the perimeter.
That's a big dude. That was a huge guy. He just casually walks past. That man was massive.
30 search warrants have been issued for members of 18th Street.
Aw, not them. They were the cool ones.
Pandilleros tienen, nosotros le damos antena, tienen gente que les avisa que nosotros vamos.
Sí.
Entonces por eso tienen que hacer las cosas rápido.
Ya estamos llegando.
She's a little too excited about this. Not the door barking. Not the dog barking.
The police have locked up over 5,000 gang members in the last 18 months alone.
How many of them are actually gang members, though?
¿Y les dieron resistencia?
The members of 18th Street arrested tonight are part of a supposed zero-tolerance campaign led by El Salvador's new president.
Con la operatividad de la Policía Nacional Civil se ha logrado incautar más de 3.500 armas de diferente calibre desde el inicio de la gestión del presidente Bukele.
My god, they lined up like they're gonna fucking execute them.
President Nayib Bukele was sworn in June 20.
He looks like a piece of shit.
To eradicate gangs. 5 years ago, El Salvador's murder rate was the highest in the world, outside war zones.
Nuestro país es como un niño enfermo. Nos toca ahora a todos asumir nuestra responsabilidad, sacar adelante a ese niño en nuestro país.
I hate his vibe. His whole vibe is just fucked. And that big old house behind him, gross. Look at that, hideous. It's like a Barbie dream house roof. Why is it so pink? Why is it so pink?
Bukele's impact appears impressive. He claims to have cut the murder rate by 60%. But in September 2020, El Salvador's investigative news platform El Faro broke a story that shocked the world. El Faro claimed President Bukele made a secret deal with MS-13. If they voted for him and cut the killings, he'd give them a seat at the political table.
Oh, what?
We've come to see Carlos Martinez. He's an investigative journalist here, and he's
that is fucked.
organized crime
and has been threatened for uncovering these, so he doesn't want to be seen outside for his safety.
So we're gonna show the outside of his house instead.
Con la llegada del presidente Bukele, hubo una reducción de homicidios como no la habíamos visto desde que se miden los homicidios en este país. Finalmente, conseguimos una extensa serie de documentos oficiales que documentan la negociación entre el gobierno del presidente Bukele y la Mara Salvatrucha ocurriendo en los penales de máxima seguridad de este país, para conseguir una reducción súbita de homicidios, con una serie de promesas del gobierno a la mafia, mejorar sus condiciones en las cárceles, pero sobre todo convertir a esta organización criminal en un actor político.
Son pandillas que se están sentando a negociar con un presidente. ¿Qué quiere decir eso del poder que tienen aquí en este país?
En las comunidades, las pandillas norman, es decir, son un poder de facto. Hoy por hoy, en El Salvador, las pandillas obtienen casi la totalidad de sus recursos de la extorsión. En este país.
How else would they make it? How else would they make their money? Selling bread? Of course it's from extortion. The whole fucking video is about extortion. Are you done? Yeah, no, yeah, man, no shit. Oh, fuck, I thought this whole time it was from selling bases. Fuck! Telling me they've been extorting people this whole time?
Paga la Coca-Cola, paga Sab Miller,
Damn.
paga el McDonald's, paga la Pizza Hut. Toda esa gente paga.
No, not Pizza Hut!
No lo creo, lo sé.
I guess somebody finally got Pizza at the Hut.
La capacidad de intervenir en ello. Y una de las cosas interesantes es que mientras la criminalidad en términos de homicidios ha disminuido, la extorsión ha aumentado.
The criminals are more powerful than the government in El Salvador. And this is because they control.
So why don't the gangs simply eat the government?
To keep people in check.
As the larger entity.
Direct their lives. They are able to tell people what to do. So when you add to this political element, when you add an alleged pact between MS-13 and the government and the president.
Well, no shit, there's a fucking pact between them.
Organized crime group.
There's always a pact.
President Bukele.
There's always a pact. The fucking government can't, like, obviously legally sell or extort people the same way that the gangs do, but they want they want a cut of the money, same way that the gangs want a cut of the money. So what do? They just fucking team up with the gangs. They split the money with the gangs. Government helps the gangs, while, like, to the public looking hard and cracking down on them, and then behind the scenes, they're, like, supplying them, all that shit. Like, of course they have a pact. You fucking stupid?
Bukele has categorically denied allegations of agreeing a secret deal with El Salvador's gangs.
Well, duh. Why would he?
We have managed to contact one
Why would he not?
MS-13's national leaders.
Why would he not deny that?
No, no hay ni arreglo bueno ni nada, tranquilo ahí.
Todo tranquilo.
Tranquilo ahí. No causas temor. La avispa, si vos no la tocas, no te muerde.
That's not true.
No atacas,
It's a bee.
Así es, ajá.
O sea, ustedes básicamente controlan este país.
You're thinking of a bee, buddy. You're thinking of a bee. Bee doesn't sting. Don't attack. Wasp will just fucking come right at you, same with a hornet.
No creo que solo nosotros, yo creo que todos, las pandillas.
He doesn't acknowledge any secret political deal, but is proud to boast about the power MS-13 wields over El Salvador through extortion.
Ya estamos organizados, somos un ejército, ¿ya? Vos me vas a pagar. ¿Por qué no me vas a pagar?
¿Y si no pagan?
Tú me vas a pagar. Es un juego, ¿ya?
¿Cómo funciona?
lo voy a hacer breve, hay coordinación.
Ok. O sea, todo está perfectamente como una jerarquía, como una pirámide, coordinado.
El que agarra, entrega, se lava y se distribuye.
Yo como vengo de Estados Unidos, ¿sabes? Hay empresas como gringas.
Color amarillo podría ser, pero tenés dinero, ya estás en la zona, vas a pagar. No es extorsión, es colaboración.
Colaboración forzada.
Poco, sí.
Ok. Quiero que expliques a alguien que es una cosa seria, pues como una compañía donde de pronto este dinero lo invierten aquí. ¿Eso? ¿Ustedes son como empresarios?
Hay que lavar el dinero con puteríos, en todo, armas, ropa, comida, internet, inteligencia, carros.
O sea, como que hay grandes cerebros así pensando en esto, hay como alguna.
Sí.
¿Y quiénes son los cerebros?
No se puede hablar así mucho.
Okay.
Yeah.
We cannot mention that. Are you fucking dumb? Yeah, no. Who's your boss? What's like the name of the guy who's like behind the gang? Could you like name him and point him out to me? Why would they give that up?
Afectando de manera directa las finanzas de la estructura delincuencial Mara Salvatrucha.
Douglas Farah, a national security consultant to the U.S. government, has seen how MS-13 have used their dirty extortion money to buy influence and power.
They have become much more sophisticated. They've also made the decisions to send some of their best, smartest people to...
That is the loosest turtleneck I've ever seen.
You now have MS-13 that have been in the police for 5 or 6 years and are now rising to the ranks. You have...
It's a very odd-fitting turtleneck.
Integrated into the MS-13. So they've become, over time, much more embedded in the society. I never imagined watching
what the fuck?
Into what they have become today.
It's so floppy.
Out of El Salvador's 262 districts, the gangs control a shocking 247.
Oh.
So how do you take the country back? San Jose Guayabal
Who controls the others?
Town where a local mayor has managed to regain control.
Aquí caminamos a la hora que queremos, no hay renta. En 2 años logramos erradicar la 18 y dejar libre de pandillas el municipio.
The key to this extraordinary achievement was rooting out police corruption. When Mayor Mauricio Villanova discovered the town's police chief was unreliable, he took action.
Entonces yo sí intervení para cambiar el jefe policial. Y nace el modelo de hacer patrullajes conjuntos, alcalde con policía, salir del sitio de confort de alcalde y ponerme a trabajar el tema de seguridad y prevención.
Sí.
Desde salir del escritorio.
So he's just like also the
Y el éxito ha habido más
sheriff?
de 200 capturas, condenas de 60 años. Entonces un pandillero migra aquí, la tiene difícil.
The mayor's hands-on approach includes working closely with former gang members to stop violence erupting.
¿Cayó cuántos? 5 años preso.
¿Estabas en la Mara? ¿En la MS?
No.
En la 18.
Me querían matar, que yo nunca los vi como enemigos. Sino no estaba a favor de lo que estaban haciendo.
¿Y ahora por eso andas armado?
Sí.
Sí.
Todas las pandillas pueden intentar pegarle a él, pues matarlo, pues que al dicen de que al quitarlo a él se van a volver a levantar de nuevo, pues.
Bueno,
but he's more of an idea.
Cuando no. Digamos, nosotros aquí estamos hoy sumamente preocupados porque estamos viendo cómo se quieren volver a fortalecer después de la pandemia.
Thanks to the mayor rolling up his sleeves, there have only been 4 murders in the town in the last year. None of them gang.
Really impressive.
But only a few minutes away, 18th
Whoa,
Street still maintains
non-gang related murders? What were the 4 in the past year then? Just over random shit? What's counted as a murder? That confuses me.
The surrounding areas.
Just for fun. Just 4 murders for funsies, as a little treat.
Por su seguridad que se ponga el chaleco contra balas.
Perfecto. This neighborhood is actually a sanctuary, apparently, for the 18th Street gang. They kill people here, they bury them, they are totally operating freely here. So that's why the mayor cannot come here by himself. He needs to be escorted by the police and the army. Aquí nos bajamos. ¿Sí?
Just walking and killing everyone. Obviously, duh.
Team has more firepower
Duh.
than the gangs.
Buenos días, caballero. Sería tan amable poner sus manos al cuello, por favor. Baje la mochila. Ya sabe, tenido más de alguna vez.
No.
¿Qué porta en la bolsa?
Cartera y teléfono.
Solamente. ¿Tatuaje?
Ninguno.
Está bien, entonces, continúe.
So stop and frisk is a thing here.
Vamos caminando. Y es un lugar dominado por la 18 Surey.
Really? Because you guys haven't run into any yet.
Donde en el día podemos entrar.
I haven't seen a single gang member here. Oh, it's freezing.
Todo esto es en memoria de los pandilleros muertos.
Muertos.
Tiger.
Ah, sí, señor. ¿Y esos son balazos?
Estos son disparos.
Why is it running so slow?
Es corta y difícil.
The mayor's ambition to expand his strategy across the region may be too little, too late. Hundreds of people from the town have been forced to flee their homes after suffering years of extortion.
Ahí está todo abandonado ya, tienes razón.
Esta es otra casa abandonada.
Toda la gente se fue, claro. He's saying this is almost like a ghost town because a lot of families have fled to the US mostly after being extorted or threatened by the gangs.
What happens here is fueling a crisis outside of El Salvador's borders. In 2019 alone, nearly 500,000 Salvadorans fled their homes.
God damn.
Many joining the migrant caravans, hoping to reach America.
We've been talking to everybody. Gangs, local authorities, businessmen, ordinary citizens. And one thing has become clear. Extortion here is endemic and it's happening at all levels. Extortion is a multi-million-dollar industry and it's not going to stop anytime soon.
Like most multi-million-dollar
Among
industries.
The failed states of the world, El Salvador is a front runner. You can't really do efficient investment in a country where there's an active extortion racket. So this definitely stops El Salvador from developing. If MS-13 manage to completely take over the government in El Salvador, they will become a big power in Central America. It's gonna help them expand business, help them connect to other crime groups, and infiltrate even more, not just local politics, but global politics. This is not just about fighting gang violence.
Wouldn't El Salvador just get kicked out of, like,
on groups like MS-13.
world councils at that point?
This is really about changing the way politicians
It's just taken over by a gang.
The politicians work in the public interest and with long-term plans and in coordination across borders.
Well, no shit, they didn't fucking comment. Why did you think they would? Everyone's gonna deny that they don't pay extortion fees to gangs just to set up business there. Christ. Anyways, that was a fun video. That was a fun little inside look into, I guess the world of MS-13. But let me take a quick little break, get something to drink, and I'll be back in a second. I'm back. I'm back. Back in the saddle. Cat's running around. He's screaming at me. He's being a real dickhead. I have big red cup of mimosa. Tasty. More orange juice than champagne though, because champagne's fucking gross, right? Am I wrong? Champagne's gross. It is not an appetizing drink. It's like the beer of wine. It's just no fucking good. Anyways, we're moving on to the next video in our watch later. Moving on to where we're watching Inside Wagner. I'd like to be inside Wagner. If you know what I fucking mean. Anyways. Let's go. Run it. Run it. But yeah, it's about fucking mercenaries, Vice. Oh wait, there's nothing in this cup. Oh, Wagner. Wagner group. Get away from my orange juice.
They're not actually soldiers, they're mercenaries.
Вагнер — это миф, который был придуман журналистами. Называть Вагнер, Моцарт, Шуберт, Шопен, Стравинский.
Moscow has long denied Wagner's presence,
giving the Russian government the ability to deny and avoid direct official involvement.
How did you hear about the opportunity?
The mixing is fucked. I can't get them talking.
Свободу. Это безнаказанно все будет.
A growing list of alleged atrocities committed by the mercenaries with an expanding global footprint.
The Wagner Group used to be an organization which traded in secrecy and operated in the shadows.
A major development. As a convoy of Wagner mercenaries heading.
Oh wait, do not. I'll kill you. I'll rip your little head off. Stop. Not pleasant, is it? Go away.
Спутников у нас 4, видите, да? Да. Вот даем картинку.
In this bunker, just 2 miles from the Ukrainian border with Russia, Battalion 228 hunts for Russian infiltrators.
Чук, попробуй оттянуться. Ты на скольки? На 400 метрах, правильно? Да, и можешь спуститься чуть ниже, просто под углом справа от посадки стань и все.
They monitor the border, map out coordinates, and then feed that information to ground troops.
Most of these guys are volunteers. They're using commercially available drones. On this screen over here, they're actually using a Google call to talk to the drone operator.
Today, they're trying to take out soldiers from the Russian army, but weeks ago, they had another target. Operatives from the notorious mercenary group Wagner.
Вот эта камера показывает в прямом эфире русские позиции. Он стоит замаскированный БТР. Естественно, это сейчас наша основная цель.
На БТР наводись. Сейчас даю картинку. Да, видим.
Сова, вижу цель. Первый огонь.
Выстрел пошел.
Подлет на 35.
Most of the world
Is that the shot they just fired from that drone?
Deployed in the invasion of Ukraine.
Jesus.
But they've been the Kremlin's covert weapon of choice for nearly 10 years. Their ranks were originally made up of mostly elite ex-special forces, starting in eastern Ukraine in 2014, then quietly deployed around the world to advance Russia's military and political agenda.
Take off.
First, they sell military services to foreign governments. Once they're in, Wagner starts shady businesses to turn a profit off the country's resources. Everywhere they've gone, they've left a trail of severe human rights abuses.
So they're like the Russia's Blackwater.
Ukraine is in the headlines. It's an outlier from their global operations. They were deployed here when the invasion depleted the Russian army, forcing President Putin to call on Wagner, who in turn recruited thousands of prisoners to wear down the Ukrainians. In this part of eastern Ukraine, you can tell there's been a lot of heavy fighting recently. We're just near the front line where Ukrainian troops are trying to hold two key towns from falling to the Russians, mainly to Wagner soldiers.
Why does she sound like RFK Jr.?
And Russian troops backed by Wagner were locked in a
Their audio was fucked.
Can you tell me about the day that you captured the Wagner fighters?
Прийшов приказ забігти в ті позиції, ми забігли, і так вийшло, що неожиданно, вони навіть не поняли, що случилось.
This is you just here?
Так, залишительно вже я.
As you're approaching, what are you feeling?
Відчували себе спокійно, не панікували, спокійно себе вели.
What were you saying to him here?
Ну, ми їх сказали, здавайтесь, вони виходять. Кажуть, не стріляйте, ми здаємо.
Вони здаються, тепер їх провіряємо, чи в них немає нічого.
Оружие, що, гранати, все забирають від них. Жити хотіли, здались. Хто не хотів, то не хотів. 4 чоловіка здались.
We've heard about two levels of Wagner. One, these sort of special operatives, and the second level, all of these prison recruits. Do you know which one of those the guys who you captured were?
Ми не питали нічого, що ми будемо питати. Ми їх забрали, бо не було часу. Треба було ще йти далі. Там ще одна позиція була. Вище начальство не будуть питати їх, а ми...
The soldiers captured by Battalion 108 were former convicts. The man who led the prison recruitment campaign was Wagner founder and financier Yevgeny Prigozhin. This prison yard was the first time Prigozhin, once a convict himself, publicly admitted his connection with Wagner. For years, Prigozhin outright denied the group's existence and even sued people who suggested he was
Oh, he sued people? Now he's just gonna go around and be like, I am the leader. I am the leader of this group.
Landing lucrative contracts with the government, ultimately becoming known as Putin's chef.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Gabidulin was the first former member to speak publicly about the group and has since fled to France. He briefly served as Prigozhin's personal assistant.
What is Prigozhin's personality like?
Just to light cigarette.
Креативный, очень масштабно мыслящий человек. Вот на 100% убежден в правильности той установки такого патриотического видения своей страны, которую вот он взял себе на вооружение. Человек, который вхож в ближайшее окружение президента страны Путина. Ночью он спокойно приезжает в зоны, рекрутирует там людей, набирают, и эти люди отправляются на войну.
Please, for the love of God, stop trying to drink my mimosa, you fucking freak. Honestly, my cat is obsessed with alcohol. He wants alcohol so fucking badly. This cup had a screwdriver in it. He's been jumping up trying. He sniffs this one first because he thinks there's something in there. He wants it so fucking bad. But no, you can't have it, Bowie. You can't have it. You can't have any alcohol. You're a little cat. You're a little cat. You can't have any alcohol. You'll die. You'll get drunk and die. He doesn't care. Because as soon as I let go of him, he just puts his claws in my leg and jumps straight for it.
Africa and the Middle East, Prigozhin's prison recruiting spree ballooned their ranks up to 50,000.
Парни, записывайтесь в ЧВК «Вагнер». Еще вчера они были обычными парнями, а сегодня они на защите нашей страны.
After weeks of negotiations, intelligence officials agreed to let us talk to 2 Wagner prison recruits captured in eastern Ukraine. Both say they were recruited by Prigozhin himself. They spoke to us of their own will, but were watched the entire time by Ukrainian intelligence.
Why would they not watch them? They're fucking prisoners.
How long into your jail sentence did you decide to join Wagner?
1 год 3 месяца, 1 year 3 months.
What were you in prison for?
Драка и убийство. Ну и к моей жене начали приставать. Он меня ударил ножом, я его ударил ножом, и я его зарезал насмерть. И нас
I feel like you're
осудили,
skipping a lot of
дали
stats.
по 19 лет срока.
How did you hear about the opportunity to...
Somebody was hitting on my wife, and I stabbed him, and he stabbed me, and I stabbed him to death. Okay. What besides the flirting? What led up to that?
И начал толковать свою речь.
What kind of things did he promise you?
Свободно, полностью аннулировано, то бишь конец судимости жизни с чистого листа. При этом зарплата 250 тысяч. Пообещал свободу, чистую абсолютно, без судимостей.
What was your impression of Prigozhin when he came to the prison?
Судя, как он прилетел в тюрьму, вообще из зашления в тюрьму, он оказался лидером. При этом у него есть ордена, также Герой России. Там.
Were you impressed by him?
Не особо. Меня больше впечатлили то, что он говорил, а не он сам. Но то, что у него есть полномочия от вышестоящих органов, непосредственно также от президента. Ну, все такое, рассказывал за войну, показывал видео, как расстреливают, там, ну, а молотком пробивают голову. Ну, такие гадости, да.
Jesus Christ.
What did he say about Wagner's missions in places like Africa and Syria?
Ну, то, что там тоже воюет Вагнер. Шутил там, мол, типа, о, тоже хорошо всякие.
What the fuck?
Убивать.
There's been a lot of reports that specifically the prisoners who were recruited into Wagner are being used as cannon fodder. Is that how you felt?
Да. Ну, у нас как бы, когда дается нам приказ идти вперед, у нас только приказ идти вперед, мы не можем отступать назад. Любой ценой ты должен взять.
What are you thinking about Wagner's strategy?
Я не думал в тот момент ничего о стратегии Вагнера. Я думал, как, я не знаю, как бы, наверное, выжить и не...
What happened the day that you were captured?
Нам отдали... в общем, мы штурмовали точку одну. Так получилось, что половина группы куда-то делась кого-то до 300 человек. И командир группы передал мне команду. Мы ждали подмоги. Пришла одна группа, снайпер снял эту группу. Но мы не смогли выбираться, потому что сзади нас снайпер, по бокам 2 пулеметчика. И мы 2 суток находились там до тех пор, пока что нас не взяли в плен. Украинский военный с правой стороны подошел, выстрелил возле ноги. Я повернулся, он сказал, все, сдавайся. Все, у меня как бы не было никаких вариантов, что-либо делать. Я сказал, просто сдаюсь и все.
Are you scared at all about being sent back to Russia? What Wagner might do, knowing that you were in detention here?
Так, 50 на 50. Ну, не знаю. В любом случае, даже если ты как-то покинешь группу Вагнер, тебя обнулят. В общем, расстрел будет.
In the end, he wasn't exchanged for a Ukrainian prisoner of war. Months later, he appeared in a Ukrainian propaganda video claiming to have defected to their side.
Отказываться от обмена и возвращения в Российскую Федерацию.
Prigozhin took to Telegram and threatened his life.
Jesus.
Предатель, и я уверен, что понесет достойное, почитающееся предателем наказание, согласно всем традициям ЧВК «Вагнер».
On the other side of the front line, Ukrainian soldier Oleksandr Makarevich was captured in the fighting near Bakhmut and held by Wagner as a prisoner of war in the basement of a converted shoe factory.
God, people smoking cigarettes looks so cool.
4-5 година ранку, 26 числа, коли я прокинувся, то вже впритик біля мене стояли вже вороги. Посадили на коліна, забрали всі документи, телефони, зв'язали нас. В той момент перше, що я зробив, це попрощався зі своїм життям. У нас потім вони переводили з одної точки на іншу, по своїх окопах, бліндажах. Кожну зупинку, яку ми робили, нас постійно били. Потім ми відвезли в їхній штаб, де влаштували допрос. Одного мого товариша прямо на допросі вони вбили.
Did you know who it was who had captured you?
Вони одразу сказали, що ми не регулярна армія Росії, ми оркестр Вагнера. Перше, що вони казали, це що нас всіх уб'ють.
Why do you think they were telling you
Awesome.
that they were Wagner?
It's like
Вони дуже гордились цим.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's not like they were just doing it out of the kindness of their heart, being like, "Hey, we're just letting you know who captured you." It's like we're Wagner's. They think they're fucking supervillains. They think they're fucking super. They think they're doing a fucking what's the name of that movie? Fuck. They think they're doing like an Inglourious Bastards. They think they're the fucking like wartime badasses.
Вагнер саме найсильніший ЧВК. Ми вміємо воювати, ми краще всіх воюємо.
What kind of information were they trying to get out of you during the interrogations?
Де знаходяться наші позиції? Яку нам поставили задачу? Скільки нас, яке у нас озброєння? Чи є в нас западне озброєння, западна техніка і все.
How did you keep your spirits up?
Просто вірив, що якщо нас перший день не вбили, значить, навіщо ж нас ж додержуть?
Were you thinking about Svetlana?
Звісно, кожен день. Просто що хочу.
Why do journalists always want to interview the people who have been interrogated before? Don't you think they've answered enough goddamn questions for their lifetime?
Can you tell me about the day that you were released?
Світлані мені було чомусь дуже страшно дзвонити. Я дуже сильно хвилювався, чи їй вже хтось сказав, що мене вже немає, чи похоронили, мене не похоронили.
Скільки б часу все ж таки пройшло, я б все ж чекала до останнього.
What was it like when you guys first saw each other again?
Якщо чесно, це навіть не передати словами. Повністю це там чуть не в сльозах було від радості.
Я, здається, так спішила, що коли заходила до квартири, я спіткнулася поріг. Ледь не впала.
Імунітет був дуже ослаблений. Я дуже багато втратив ваги.
How are you feeling now, 3 months later?
Дуже добре. Але досі ще ночами дуже мало сплю. Сняться кошмари.
We're learning about new tensions in Russian forces on the front line.
Wagner boss Yevgeny Prigozhin says his mercenaries are moving out. Wagner's exit could mark a turning point in one of the bloodiest battles in Europe since World War II.
Prigozhin may have claimed victory in Bakhmut, but they paid a heavy price for deviating from a model they had spent years developing. A small footprint with a big financial payoff. The first time Wagner was able to make money was in Syria, where they were deployed to fight ISIS, protect oil fields, and keep dictator Bashar al-Assad in power. Prigozhin negotiated a 25% cut of revenue from each oil refinery they protected.
Jesus Christ, that seems excessive.
Наемников было достижение военной победы.
Did you get the sense that he was motivated more by making money there or by winning on the battlefield?
Два понятия, которые, в общем-то, они вполне совместимы. Естественно, основная мотивация наемников – это заработать деньги. Но и, значит, во многом это зависит от успеха.
One of their most defining battles was a 4-hour standoff with their Syrian allies against 40 American troops near a gas refinery.
Jesus.
Dozens of Wagner members were killed, but at the time, Russia still denied their existence.
Бой, который отложился особенно отчетливо у меня в памяти, это, конечно, бой 8 февраля 2018
That wasn't too long ago, honestly.
Ну, просто расхластали. Отложилось у меня на всю жизнь.
Despite major missteps and casualties in Syria, Wagner bosses continued to pitch their model to leaders under pressure.
Вы не забывайте о том, что эти правительства, все, с которыми он сотрудничает, это же сами по себе диктаторы. Он обеспечивает стабильность их положения, устойчивость их власти. Африка – это кипящий котел. Там всегда есть с кем воевать.
This is fucking action-packed!
The Central African Republic is Wagner's most successful and entrenched model. A few hundred Russian mercenaries arrived here in 2018, and today, Wagner and Russia are KAR's closest allies. It was part of a legitimate UN-approved deal to allow Russian military trainers to work with Central African soldiers to fight rebel insurgencies. This is one of their training bases, and here, instead of Wagner, they insisted we call them instructors.
Oh, thank you for the follow.
Karvalev is the head of the contractors in the Central African Republic, and the top security advisor to the
How are you doing today?
In January,
How was your January
Kali
2nd?
agreed to show us their operations across the country, an unprecedented offer for a group that rejects most media coverage. Vice News remains the only team of Western journalists to date to embed with Wagner.
Why now
That's
do you
fucking
think it's
crazy.
important to show people what you're doing?
Not even Vox. Vox could never.
Присутствие российских инструкторов. Одна из основных составляющих заключается в обучении, в подготовке военнослужащих, работу инструкторов, показать, чем они занимаются, показать их взаимодействие с вооруженными силами Центральноафриканской Республики. На протяжении длительного времени Центральноафриканская армия была в небоеспособном состоянии, военнослужащие не занимались выполнением своей. Центральноафриканская армия была не способна контролировать территорию.
The Central African Republic has been battered by a conflict that started as a sectarian war in 2012 and morphed into fractured rebel groups fighting for diamonds and gold. Rebels have controlled at least 3/4 of the country for most of the last decade. The national military hasn't been able to regain this territory, even with a 15,000-strong UN peacekeeping force and training from the EU and French military.
So they aren't really rebels at that point, right? They're like a separate government. At that point, when like you've lost the land and you can no longer regain the land, that's not like a rebellion. That's in a whole separate fucking place.
Kalena, вот ваше положение.
C'est ça qui est votre position là.
Il y a manière de nous donner comme ça, avoir équilibre en journée et puis à bouger après. D'accord, hein?
Tout le monde est prêt?
Contact! Contact debout!
I saw you speak a bit of Russian yourself.
Oui, depuis que je suis avec les Russes, je commence déjà à parler un peu de russe. Eux, ils ont vécu beaucoup d'expériences. Et ça, ils ont pris ça, ils nous ont montré ça. Et ça fait qu'il y a une nette différence.
No mimosa!
Et les Européens.
Vous avez beaucoup de confiance dans
Mimosa.
votre nouveau partenaire.
Effectivement, mais comme on a vu un progrès.
After just a few years on the ground, Wagner's presence turned the tide of the war. And the narrative of Russian success here helped legitimize Wagner in the eyes of other governments dealing with instability. Now, they're cashing in on conflicts across Africa.
These guys are literally like war profiteers. They're in the bomb business.
In early 2021, when KAR's rebel groups circled the capital, threatening to overthrow the government, the Russians and their National Army trainees were the most visible in pushing rebels back and in retaking major cities. President Touadéra's administration led the deepening of diplomatic ties with Russia and struck the deal for Wagner to operate. 5 years later, their ranks have quadrupled in size.
God damn!
Unseated France as the main international partner, and Vitaly has the ear of the president.
Given all of the challenges you're facing, what do you say to countries like France, like the US, who are critical of your military cooperation agreement with Russia?
Le pays est en danger, tout le monde le sait. Ma mission, c'est de faire en sorte que la paix et la sécurité reviennent. On demande à tous les pays amis, ceux qui en ont la possibilité de venir nous aider à rétablir la paix. Nous avons demandé à la Fédération de Russie qu'elle bien voulu nous aider.
So do you think this
That's fair. That's like a super, yeah. How can you criticize them? they're like turning to everyone and begging for help, and you're all like, no. And the one person who helps them is the bad guys, so that the bad guys can have them on their team. Which, like, if they're a neutral party, obviously, as a good guy, you should help them, so that they don't fall into the hands of the fucking bad guys. Like, if we're boiling it down to, like, completely black and white viewpoints here, like, you can't leave a potential ally out in the fucking dust like that. And then criticize them for, like, taking help. Russia is our enemy, it's not their enemy.
What is your own personal relationship? What's your working relationship like with your Russian security advisor?
Vitaly, aujourd'hui, est mon conseiller en termes de sécurité. Justement, pour permettre des actions sur le terrain, il faudrait qu'on sache exactement ce qui se passe sur le terrain avec nos forces de défense.
This relative security comes at a major human cost. There's widespread evidence they're responsible for arbitrary arrests, torture, and killing around the world.
Yeah, no shit.
We confirmed hundreds of incidents involving
They're a
Russian
fucking
contractors
mercenary
and
group.
trainees, including dozens of cases of rape. This brutality is intentional. Severe violence is used to terrify and control the population.
Excuse me.
Out of fear, one survivor asked us to hide her identity. This strategy of terror goes beyond population control. They also target civilians living in areas rich in resources. They get paid by the government in part with access to the country's vast gold and diamond mines.
You have children doing this?
Discovered, Wagner fighters have been accused of violently chasing off local miners working there.
Are you fucking
In
serious?
the town of Boyo, dozens of people were killed in one attempt to take over a mine.
Ala atake a population na Boyo. Ala faazo mingi. Ala mu kumbati azu. Ala saga. Ala gbi ada chi azu. Ala gbumbi. Ala pi kambi. Kulegtala mwaga. Bembani. Nangalo vokoni. Ala yu. Tini ala ganani. Ala gusini. La saga tatuyash. Yeso si Russi, la saga na Boyo, tanto yeti pono, la za population na pasi, amene atuku, la saga shoni.
Why are mercenary groups lawful at all? Like, why are they allowed to exist? Why can you be in the business of murder?
Vitaly wanted to emphasize their successes.
Legally.
He took us to the city
Like a
of
war.
Bulgaria, where Wagner has its second biggest base in the country and where Kar's biggest gold mine is found. It's also where dozens of human rights abuses have allegedly occurred. Vitaly wanted us to see this meeting in a central mosque, with local leaders who seemingly support their mission in Kar.
Bon, vous avez monsieur Vitaly, c'est ça? Vitaly. Il est russe. On a la chance que lui, il parle français, n'est-ce pas?
Bonjour tout le monde. Pas beaucoup de choses à dire. Juste de notre part, je peux vous dire que les instructeurs russes qui sont ici, ils sont toujours de votre côté, ils sont toujours du côté de la paix.
Grâce à vous, quand même, cette année, ces ans-là, quand même, nous souffrons un peu. Même s'il y a des rapages, c'est pas vous qui avez provoqué cette crise-là.
Like, that Russian trainer looks like a fucking asshole.
But their violence is effective in instilling fear. No one wanted to confront them, except for one lawyer.
Il y a des tueries qui se font. Dès lors que, même si on interpelle un individu, on ne doit pas l'exécuter. Même là où moi je dors, je m'inquiète. Je me demande, peut-être à n'importe quelle heure, quelqu'un peut venir m'enlever et puis l'exécuter.
Je m'excuse, vous parlez de qui peut venir pour vous exécuter?
Non, non, je parle pas de vous. Je parle d'une sécurité d'ordre général.
Parce que quand même, on est en train de régler les problèmes sécuritaires et c'est juste pour savoir qui peut venir pour vous exécuter.
Excusez-moi.
Monsieur le conseiller, c'est un avocat, hein? Vous avez vu quand il a fait la plaidoirie?
Fuck off! Oh my god. That is such a fucking, oh god, terrifying situation. He's like, who do you think, the guy who could execute you is being like, that's so silly. Who do you think would kill you? Who do you think would execute you? Let me know. Name them right now. On camera. So that they can come and fucking kill you for naming them on camera. The dude's shifting in his seat. Then they make fun of it? Jesus Christ.
Civilians, but also effectively neutralizing the rebels. As soon as we arrived here, the Russian contractors wanted to show us about 200 guys who they say are ex-rebels who have recently surrendered completely voluntarily without a fight. We're not really sure what exactly they want us to do next. These men were recently Wagner's enemies on the battlefield. Suddenly, they were being trotted out for us. We were told to speak to Colonel Curie, a former rebel with one of the groups trying to overthrow the government. He's now working with the Russians.
Mi remercier biati kodrom, mi remercier Fédération Russie sous silence asami bikir nati normani bikir armée nationale centrafricaine bungombe so akena droani bungombe so la legetik bungombe et mi bata toute population centrafricaine.
When you surrendered, who exactly were you surrendering to?
Wagner. La place wala warambi danangunda. La sibigremete arme timbi si ala muni azani na timbeni kutukutunde simbinga kwa mumi na timbeni kutukutunde na also ala betimbi siga.
Okay, c'est la dernière question. So, do you think that the men here also respect the Russian instructors? And maybe you can explain why these men here are wearing the Je suis Wagner t-shirts? Pardon?
On a fini.
Ok.
Oui, s'il
vous plaît. Oui. C'est en matière de sécurité ou quoi?
Our host pulled Colonel Curie out of the interview and cut it short.
Jesus Christ.
As Wagner.
Oh my god, that's fucking crazy. And now they're just shutting the whole fucking thing down. That's not suspicious at all. That raises so many more questions than just letting him finish the interview.
Comment elle est rentrée au Wagner?
Non, il m'a dit, j'ai rentré mes armes à Wagner. Et j'ai dit les instructeurs russes. Donc ça, c'est une question pour vous. Parce qu'il y a des t-shirts ici. Qu'est-ce que c'est?
D'accord.
Mais j'espère qu'il n'y a pas de problème pour Colonel Curie pour dire ça. Mais il m'a dit...
Je pense que c'est mieux si vous enlevez ces deux textes.
Oh my god, what?
Even though they claim to now be operating in the open, denial and deception are core to Wagner's identity. It's long been an open secret that it's Wagner operating here. But before Prigozhin admitted he was running the group, Russian contractors abroad were clearly instructed not to refer to themselves as Wagner. At the time,
what were they supposed
to
to
acknowledge on
say what they are?
That the work he's doing was connected to the group.
Вагнер — это миф, который был придуман журналистами. На самом деле для нас абсолютно не имеет значения, как вы нас называете. Вы можете нас называть Вагнер, Моцарт, Шуберт, Шопен, Стравинский. Остаемся российскими инструкторами, которые работают в интересах Российской Федерации.
Why, though, is it so sensitive to call these instructors Wagner?
Существует очень много дезинформации, которая основана на слухах, на сплетнях.
We spent weeks in car with our Russian contacts. It was surprising they allowed us access in the first place. Scratching the surface beyond what Wagner wants you to know.
This is like when North Korea lets journalists into their domain, into the country, because like they're like being cooperative, but you have no fucking idea of what they're showing you and telling you, and like any information they're offering up is at all reliable. These are total Totally unreliable witnesses.
And it can be deadly.
Not Vice, but the Wagner guys.
Russian journalists were murdered in Car in the middle of their own investigation into Wagner.
Dmitry and Vitaly just drove by us.
Really?
Yep.
They just went in front of us?
Yeah, in this, like, that white car.
Did they look at us?
I feel like he may have noticed you.
They want us to know that they know what we're up to.
That's so fucking scary.
Without them, we were followed. We wanted to do an interview with a National Army trainee who said he witnessed Russian soldiers committing crimes against civilians. But as soon as we got there, armed men were waiting to arrest us. It was ultimately Vitaly himself who secured our release, but we suspected him of orchestrating the arrest.
What the fuck?
Even now that they operate in the open, the way they operate is intentionally opaque. It's hard to pin them down on their military strategy, business model, and their crimes.
I'd like to ask you to respond to some of the allegations against Russian instructors here.
Да, мы постоянно получаем информацию из открытых источников, из средств массовой информации. Каждый раз, получая данную информацию, мы всегда ведем свое внутреннее расследование. Мы пытаемся перепроверить, потому что...
Every time you get a report, you do a local investigation?
Of course.
When you've investigated all of these rumors, you haven't found one example where a Russian soldier has behaved badly towards a civilian? Not one?
Oh, fuck off.
Two women who said they were raped by white armed men. They described their tattoos very clearly. I'm curious if you've investigated those cases.
Жертва должна обращаться в соответствующие органы, должна службы, которые занимаются проведением расследования. Потому что в настоящий момент вы говорите мне, что есть конкретные жертвы, есть конкретные доказательства, только суд может установить виновность либо невиновность. И в любом случае, если такие случаи есть, люди должны обращаться в суд. Все остальное это разговоры.
But you know, you've been here long enough to know that very few people have any faith in the justice system here. People hear that when they went to the authorities, then they got killed for sharing their story. So you can't just say to people...
Yeah, he's just like nodding him like a... Yeah, because that's what we killed him.
But it's difficult to fake a rape test.
Yes, it's so difficult, but...
But they're telling me they're very scared. And when you see Russians around, you can understand. They have masks on. You guys have big guns. Like, of course they're afraid.
They're scared. Mais on ne peut pas commencer à accuser sans les procédures juridiques.
Despite the hundreds of human rights allegations, Wagner has become more geopolitically influential and even richer. Their setup is a hybrid model with missions sustained by payoffs from foreign governments, resource extraction, and funds from Russian authorities, including equipment from the Ministry of Defense.
That's fucking insane.
Lines served everyone. The Kremlin completely
They're like barely not a part of the army.
Pumping money into their operations. Prigozhin took credit as the financier, but Putin and the state were always behind it.
Вписалась вот в эту риторику, которую использует сам Пригожин. Удобно, он говорит о том, что я его создавал, я ее финансировал. На самом деле он не создавал ее. Это совместный проект, государственный проект. Это практически государственный проект, который осуществлял Пригожин и Министерство обороны. За неделю войны в Украине весь свой бизнес, он бы за неделю растратил бы все свои финансовые возможности. ЧВК «Вагнер» — это часть корпорации Пригожина.
The Wagner Group was intentionally set up to enable criminal activity globally, with limited accountability and maximum deniability. Prigozhin and his inner circle, including powerful oligarchs, built a sprawling, mafia-like network of shell companies to do business alongside Wagner's military operations.
Jesus Christ.
This complex network shields Wagner from international and domestic scrutiny, allowing the group to move money without getting caught. It all hinges on countries willing to facilitate both their logistics and finances. US and UK government analysts say the UAE looks the other way as Wagner-affiliated companies launder profits from Africa through...
Internet Research Agency? That's the fakest name I've ever heard.
Prigozhin miscalculated his value to the Kremlin, taunting them throughout the battle for Bakhmut and then making the ultimate move, risking this entire network by trying to overthrow Putin.
Oh, this was that guy?
Emergency measures as a convoy of Wagner mercenaries appears to be heading for the Russian capital.
His attempted mutiny collapsed within 24 hours, and he quickly brokered a deal with Putin to escape to Belarus.
Did his plane blow up or something?
Дальше готовимся, повышаем свой уровень и в новый путь, в Африку.
I'm pretty sure he's dead now, right?
Мне хочется пожелать всем удачи, успехов. Берегите друг друга, ну и пусть победит дружба.
She just singing during a soccer game? Live entertainment?
More isolated than
Dose
ever,
entertainment?
Russia is now leaning on Africa, both economically and diplomatically.
We're in St. Petersburg at what they're calling the friendly match between Russia and Africa. It feels very lighthearted and innocent on the sidelines of this Russia-Africa forum that's happening here.
Russia hosted a summit between African leaders and Russian representatives this summer. This soccer game is one of the cultural events held alongside it.
There's fucking no one in the audience. This is so dystopian. This feels like North Korea.
Out of their relationship with Russia.
We are benefiting a lot. We trade with Russia, so why should we be against Russia? We are for Russia, Africa. Period.
Leaders from 6 African nations in St. Petersburg.
Putin's biggest international conference since he invaded Ukraine. Wagner intrinsically tied up with Kremlin and Putin's interests in Africa.
Putin headlined the conference and behind the scenes tried to broker deals with
The
African
headliner.
leaders in what was the biggest
Does he have a Putin shirt on?
since he invaded Ukraine.
Go back.
Obviously, a lot of these African partners.
Go back. Go back. Does he have a fucking Putin shirt on?
Wagner intrinsically tied up with Kremlin and Putin's interests in Africa.
Putin headlined the conference and behind the scenes tried to broker deals with African
Oh my god, he does. He's wearing a Putin shirt. What the fuck?
leaders in what was the biggest international event he's held since he
Crazy.
invaded Ukraine.
Fucking wild.
Obviously, a lot of these African partners need Russia, but it's also about Russia deepening its ties with a lot of African countries and gaining allies on the continent.
The majority of Wagner's interests lie in Africa, and the Russian state itself is doubling down on its investments there. This summit was a scramble for influence and business just weeks after Prigozhin's mutiny. Russia is already one of Africa's biggest weapons exporters, and where Wagner goes, Rostec, the Russian state weapons manufacturer, usually follows.
Here we have the most contemporary line of Russian armaments.
So these are some of the most purchased ones?
We don't speak about purchases.
Oh,
we
you
speak
can't talk about sales, but they're popular.
Oh my god.
We can say they're popular.
They are popular around the globe now, yeah.
Oh.
Why can't you talk about sales?
Is there ever a scenario where if you have a buyer, would you help them to train their guys on your equipment?
1 second. We can make a
We
pause.
gotta run that by.
Кто оказывает услуги по обучению? Ростех?
Организация, входящая в плюсы. Организация производителей.
Почему хочет Кончил ответить? Потому что возможно различные варианты.
Oh my god!
Of course. We constantly provide training for all of our clients.
Why can't you answer vaguely? What the fuck?
Wagner's empire hinges on a soft power playbook, including troll farms and social media campaigns that co-opt existing resentment against Western powers. Prigozhin even bought off social media personalities like Kemi Seba.
What do you say to people who say that Russian influence in Africa is just a new type of colonialism.
C'est du révisionnisme. Il y a des gens qui estiment qu'il n'y a pas que l'occidentalisation du monde qui est le chemin.
There's a long history with Russia and Africa, but now you can't deny they're taking resources from Central African Republic, from Mali. Do you think those African countries are getting enough in return?
Et il est intéressant de voir que quand d'autres remplacent les Occidentaux crient au pillage, mais quand eux faisaient 10 fois pire, les Occidentaux disent c'est de la coopération. Ça me paraît un petit peu hypocrite.
Prigozhin recently said that now they're going to give even more resources to African countries. Do you think these partnerships with Wagner are a good idea?
Moi, je pense que ce qui est le mieux pour les Africains, c'est qu'il y ait des coopérations d'État à État. Moi, j'ai connu Evgeny Prigozhin, on a arrêté de travailler à un moment donné, mais aujourd'hui, personne ne pourra nier que depuis que Wagner est arrivé, Wagner a bousculé beaucoup de terroristes, même s'il y a un manque de lisibilité.
This is the exact point Prigozhin was trying to make his first time back in Russia since he tried to overthrow Putin.
There are indicators that many
He went back to Russia after trying to overthrow Putin.
and are now doubting his
Dumb.
capabilities.
Why would you do that?
On the sidelines of the Russia-Africa summit, he was meeting with African leaders at St. Petersburg hotels, frantically trying to preserve his empire. Soon after,
Pretty sure he's dead,
Prigozhin
right?
went on a tour of Wagner's bases across Africa and was spotted here at this Wagner-linked cultural center. We visited in 2022.
Le mercredi passé, ce qu'on a appris, c'était des salutations. Quand vous vous présentez à quelqu'un, on va dire Central Afrikaanets.
Centralion Afrikaanets.
Afrikaanets, voilà.
This center is just a small part of Wagner's large-scale propaganda mission, which is key to Prigozhin's soft power playbook on the continent.
That's that guy swerving all over the road.
На всех континентах, а Африку еще более свободной.
His trip to Africa was a last-ditch show of strength before he was killed.
Okay, I was pretty sure it was that guy.
Пиздец, это беспилотник. Сбили, бабахнуло 2 раза, взорвалось, падает. Ты посмотри, падает.
Wagner mercenary group chief Yevgeny Prigozhin has been listed among passengers on board a plane that crashed just north of Moscow. This, according to Russian state media.
Wagner's top command, Yevgeny Prigozhin, his deputy, Dmitry Urkin, the security chief of Wagner too, all killed in one clean sweep.
It's almost certainly the Kremlin were involved.
How convenient.
Without Prigozhin, the Kremlin will most likely attempt to nationalize his multinational criminal syndicate.
The Prigozhin chapter is over, and now we just go back to business as usual as directed by the Russians.
Putin is now rid of high-level threats to his power from within Wagner. Some of
Putin is a lot like Hitler, isn't
Some
he?
have joined other mercenary groups or signed on with the Ministry of Defense, but many are still deployed in Africa. Ultimately, Wagner has always been an extension of the Russian state, first covertly and more recently out in the open. Whether it's called Wagner or not, those aspirations for geopolitical influence and profit, along with their methods of achieving those goals, aren't going anywhere.
На мой взгляд, в принципе, при тех обстоятельствах, которые сейчас сформировались в России, в общем-то, и не имеет значения личность. Не было Пригожина, был бы другой какой-то. Иванов, Петров, Сидоров, вот, с такими же установками в жизни и с таким же психотипом. Им нужны только наемники.
Для многих, конечно, это кость в горле. Много критики с целью остановить нашу работу. Нас это не останавливает, мы к этому привычны.
I hate this guy's vibe.
Мы продолжаем свою
This
работу.
guy's vibe is just fucked.
Собаки лают, караваны.
So untruthful. That was a good video. That was a good video. That was a real good video. But now that my keyboard's dead, this makes it a little awkward. I don't really want to watch 2 more videos with no keyboard. I don't know where my charger is. So, do I wrap this up? Yeah. I'm thinking yeah. Like I said earlier at the beginning the stream. I'm gonna change around the schedule and stuff like that. I'm taking a week off between the 8th and the 15th. I don't think I'll be streaming at all during that time. So, and in general, like, January is just bad for content for everyone. So, I think January is going to be a little intermittent. We might be only streaming on, like, weekends, maybe. But if that ends up happening, I'll change the schedule. But then once February rolls around, we'll be back to normal. Or it'll be like a whole new, different schedule. Anything like that. So I'm not sure when I'll be back live again, but I do appreciate everyone for watching, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye.